A Letter to God by Gregorio Lopez y Fuentes is a story that beautifully captures faith, hope, and the complexities of human nature. Let's dive into it. Imagine this. There's a small, lonely house sitting on a low hill in a valley. It's the only house for miles, and it's surrounded by fields of corn and bean plants. This is where Lencho, a hardworking farmer, lives with his family. Lencho knows these fields like the back of his hand. For him, the land is not just a source of income, it's his life. One morning, Lencho gazes at the sky, scanning for rain. The crops need water desperately, and he's hopeful. He turns to his wife and says, "Now we're really going to get some water, woman." His wife, busy preparing their meal, replies, "Yes, God willing." Soon the family gathers for dinner. As they eat, big raindrops start to fall. It's exactly what Lencho hoped for. He steps outside, letting the rain fall on him, feeling a mix of gratitude and joy. He even jokes that the raindrops are like money falling from the sky. Big drops are worth 10 centavos, and small ones are 5s. The rain feels like a blessing, and Lencho envisions a rich harvest ahead. But as we all know, nature has its own plans. Suddenly, the rain turns into hail. The hailstones are massive, covering the entire field as if someone has poured salt all over the valley. For a whole hour, the storm wreaks havoc, destroying everything: the corn, the bean flowers, the trees. Not a single leaf is left. Lencho, devastated, tells his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. This year we'll have nothing." That night is full of sorrow for the family. They worked so hard, and now there's no harvest to look forward to. The family faces hunger, and Lencho feels helpless. But amidst the despair, there's one flicker of hope: Lencho's faith in God. He believes that God sees everything and will come to their rescue. So Lencho decides to act on this faith. He writes a letter to God. Imagine this: a simple farmer, but one with such unwavering trust in divine help, writes directly to God. In the letter, he pours out his heart, explaining this destruction caused by the hailstorm. He tells God that he needs 100 pesos to replant the crops and keep his family fed until the next harvest. He signs it simply as Lencho and addresses it to God. On Sunday morning, Lencho walks to town, mails the letter, and returns home hopeful. Now here's where things take a surprising turn. At the post office, a clerk notices a letter addressed to God and shows it to the postmaster. At first they laugh. After all, who writes letters to God? But soon the postmaster is moved by Lencho's faith. He thinks, "If only I had faith like this man." He decides to do something incredible. He'll answer the letter. But how? The postmaster doesn't have the money Lencho needs. So he collects donations from his colleagues, friends, and even chips in part of his own salary. In the end, he manages to gather 70 pesos, not the full 100 Lencho asked for, but it's something. He puts the money in an envelope and writes a single word on it: God. The next Sunday, Lencho returns to the post office, eager to see if God has answered his plea. When the clerk hands him the envelope, Lencho isn't surprised at all. His faith in God was so strong that he fully expected this. But when he counts the money, his expression changes. There's only 70 pesos, not the 100 he asked for. Lencho's faith in God remains unshaken, but he's angry. He believes God wouldn't make a mistake. To him, there's only one explanation: the post office employees must have stolen the rest of the money. Right there in the post office, Lencho writes another letter to God. His brows are furrowed as he puts his thoughts into words. In this second letter, he says, "God, of the money I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Please send me the rest, but don't send it through the mail." The post office employees are a bunch of crooks. The postmaster, curious, opens the letter after Lencho leaves. Imagine his shock when he reads that. He tried so hard to help Lencho, yet Lencho accuses him and his colleagues of stealing. Now, what does this story teach us? It's a tale about faith, the kind of faith Lencho had, which was so strong and pure. It's also about human goodness. The postmaster and his friends went out of their way to help a stranger. But it also reveals something about human nature, how Lencho, in his desperation and simplicity, mistrusts the very people who tried to help him. The story leaves us with a lot to think about: the power of belief, the beauty of charity, and the misunderstandings that can arise even from good intentions. It's a simple story, but its layers make it unforgettable. What do you think? Do you admire Lencho's faith? Or do you sympathize with the postmaster?